Okay,
All right.
I think when we get together, we talk about we pretty much always talk about boxing, and then every once in a while we may have a curveball where we might talk about other things that are going on. You know, it could be family, it could be friends, it could be in the world, or I like that truck that has what's that license plate on it?
Enforcer.
Yeah, we saw that one, man. I think I know who that truck is.
Guys, that's an inside joke. All right, that's fair enough. Somebody's truck. I'm not gonna find out.
No, my license plate says Enforcer on it. Ben Lira gave me that nickname about 30 years ago because when we used to travel together, I was his assistant, and I wouldn't let nobody mess with us in the corner or in the dressing rooms, and he just named me that long ago. But no, you know what we talk about? I like when we get together because we're able to remember folks that are no longer with us and remember some of the things that they used to do and how some of us have taken some of those things and run with them and made better, made more productive, or used their ideas. And I think that I think it helps just to remember that we used to be looking up at them. Now there's people looking up at us. There's folks that I can, that I can name that I used to go into the gym and just sit there and just watch because I was so surprised at some of the things that they would say and do and the results that they would get. So all those things I learned from, and I like to talk about them when we get together, just to remember them, and hopefully one day somebody remembers us.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, it's that's why we're living. I get okay. There's a way of looking at it, right? We're living and we're writing chapters, and
Right. Right.
who, who and we're very and I say we because I know Abel is. Uh, been very fortunate to be able to make a difference in a few people's lives, and thanks to the upbringings that we've had from whether our ancestors, our friends, or coaches, that we met or saw years ago, we remember them, and thanks to them, we've learned a little bit more, and we're a little bit better because of it.
Right.
Wow. So there's a lot. It sounds like there's a ton of gratitude that you guys are kind of giving to folks who are maybe still here or not here, but just having gratitude to the people that you've had in your lives, leading up to now.
I don't think we'd be here today, really, if we, because nobody's born on this right out the bat, right? You watch, you listen, you you either you change some things or you sometimes you watch and you say, "Shit, I'm never gonna do that," and we end up doing the same thing because it worked. Yeah, and so
Yeah,
for me, watching Emmanuel in the corner was one of my first really enjoyable things to do. Not the fights, just watching Emmanuel in the corner and watch how he talked to his fighters, and it was something that I remember saying to myself, "That's the kind of coach I want to be in the corner." So when we get together again, that's the things that I like to talk about. And I like to talk and see who else they remember.
It's kind of funny because what you had said sounds like as a father or a mother, parent, your parents do things a certain way, and when you see your parents do it a certain way, you go, I'm never going to be like them. I'm never going to do that. And it's kind of like the conversation we were having before we started. You end up your kids end up being a little bit like how you were, and you end up being a little bit like how your parents were. Is it? But when you get to that point and you do it, what is that moment like? I mean, is that just like is it just a moment of like, oh, I see why they did it, or do you correct it, or what is? Take me through all that.
Good.
well, I think that part of it is okay. We don't like rules, right? As a little kid, you do things, you make mistakes and stuff, and of course, there's gonna be consequences. It's important that there's consequences because kids need to understand that when you do wrong, hey, there's a price to pay. But if you don't teach them right from the get go, then they'll grow up and be dumbasses, and it's the parents' fault because they didn't correct them when they should. And as a parent, I believe that you're not there to be their friends. I'm not your friend. I'm your father, and you're going to respect me as for what I am, your father, because the day will come where you're going to leave, and when you leave, you're going to remember a lot of things that you went through with us, and one day you're going to catch yourself talking like your parents and making those same decisions as your parents,
Yeah,
and then you'll understand.
yeah. The crazy part about what he's saying is we're doing the same thing with our fighters. We had structure back then, and if you got in trouble, you got in trouble. There was consequences. It's the same thing with our fighters, and maybe that's why it's kind of the same thing because the structure is why we're. I think that's why Rudy's successful. I know that that's why I'm successful because we're military people. We no. That's not the way I want. This is the way I don't care. When I want your opinion, I'm going to give it to you. I'm not gonna ask you for it. I'm gonna give it to you. So when as kids you grow up with structure and you grow up with parents that maybe you didn't agree with everything they did. I'm sure our fighters don't agree with everything we do, and I'm sure there's a lot of people that look at us. I know the people that look at Rudy like what he's doing is completely wrong. Yet he's successful. Uh, what I'm doing is completely wrong. Yet we've had success. So I think that the structure part of it it kind of correlates with the parenting along the way.
And also, that's discipline, right? That's being a
Absolutely.
professional and being disciplined. Is I don't want to do this. It doesn't matter if you want to do it or not. You have to do it. You know, you have to do it, even if you don't like doing it. You have to do this. I think that's. I think both of you have had fighters where when they come in, they're completely disciplined, and it's like it sounds like it's almost bizarre for that experience to happen because whatever you tell them to do, they do, and there's no pushback. It's like they're just. It sounds like they come in disciplined, right?
Well, I think that's good parenting, though, too. We're lucky that maybe they had good parents, but he's had, I'm sure, the ones that are just 100% the other way, like I've had them, and you deal with them, or you say, "There's the door." You know, it all depends what you're willing to put up with. Unfortunately, for our parents, they can't just say, "Take him, go somewhere else." For our fighters, we can say that.
Speaking of, so that's
Well said, Abel.
which is a perfect segue because this is something I've talked about with both of you. Both of you are very big on obviously drawing lines for the reasons you've given. And just recently, it came. This happened back in June, but it just came out. Stephen Breadman Edwards, who I think is he's a really good up and coming coach. He was working with Caleb Plant after the fight. He had made some remarks that he didn't like the sparring, the maybe it was the level. I'm sort of assuming here maybe it was the level of sparring or how frequently they were doing it. And after that, he said, "Hey," he was respectful enough to do it right after and say, "Hey, Caleb, you know, love you, respect you. This is done. I can't do this anymore." And he walked away. And afterwards, he didn't give any reason why, which I think is the right thing to do. It's between him and the fighter. But it seems like they weren't seeing eye to eye in how they did the training camp. How much leverage does that give you as a trainer to be able to walk away from a really good fighter like that?
Good.
Okay, me personally, I don't need you. I think at the end of the day, it's I'm there for a reason and for a purpose. And at the end of the day, if I have to answer to you, then you don't need me. And if I'm not there, I mean, I know where my next meal is coming from, and there's a few people out there that have to put up with fighters and other BS because they just don't seem to have other options, and they got to suck it up and be there and be yes man, and again, I think that when you have a certain personality and you have a certain structure, then you know that's what I believe that's what uh,
No, we answer to ourselves. We look in the mirror at night, and we hope that we're man enough to say I did it the way I wanted to do it, and whatever happens, happens. You know, Breadman is a very knowledgeable boxing guy. If you hire him, if you hire Rudy, if you hire me, if you hire Robert, if you hire any of these good coaches around here. Allow them to do their job. Allow them to do their job. You're not hiring somebody just to put your gloves on. If you want that, you get your friends. So, Breadman walking away, I imagine he wasn't allowed maybe to do his job the way that he feels it could have been done. And understand that when we're doing this for the benefit of the fighter. He's trying to resurrect a guy's career, and if a guy doesn't let him, well, then what the heck can you do? You know, it's easier just to walk away, friends, and don't get a heart attack.
Now, when you do that too, I have to imagine that sends a message to probably every fighter in your own stable and any fighter who wants to come and work with Rudy Hernandez, Abel Sanchez. If you cut a guy like that and you say like, no, I have my line, this is the boundary, I'm sorry, I'm sticking with it. I have to imagine it sends a message to the whole boxing world that like there's an expectation coming in here. It has to be done a certain way.
Sometimes the reputations can be a little wrong sometimes, but at the end of the day, it's like I mean like bottom. Here's what it comes down to: like we're individuals, right? And we all have there's certain things that we'll put up with, and there's some that we won't. Some more than others. But I mean, a lot of people have opinions about us, whether good or bad. That doesn't. I mean, I don't lose no sleep over it, and I'm almost 100% sure that Abel doesn't either. Because at the end of the day, man, like we couldn't be where we're at if we wouldn't be walking in our own shoes.
There's a lot of the pool is very large of decent fighters that are willing to uh, to allow you to be a coach, to allow you to be a coach and to give themselves to you. If that happens, then you get success. If two egos are so big that they can't seem to understand that they're trying to help each other, and the one coach, any coach is trying to help a fighter, as if let's just say you were going to have brain surgery, you wouldn't do it yourself. You'd hire the best, and if you're looking in this particular case, if Bradman was the best that he could hire, then allow him to do his job, like I said. But I won't lose any sleep over it, and I know it, like Rudy just said, I know where my next meal is coming from, so the 10 cents that I'm going to get from them is not going to make a difference in my life.
That's got to get lonely for guys like you at times, right? I mean, when you have to make decisions and stand alone on it, you're not making a decision with the whole team. You have to make that decision between you and a fighter, or you and the manager, I guess. But you're standing on your own on that. I never saw it like that. But does that ever? You talk about at the end of the day looking in the mirror. It's you and you looking in the mirror. Does that get lonely being a trainer sometimes, being in that position?
I'll take this one, Rudy. You'd be surprised. You'd be surprised that when you do that, you get so many more phone calls, and you actually have to seriously, you have to turn them away. Seriously, because when you stand up for who you are, people respect that, and the good ones are going to come to you. And we can only handle so many. There's only so many coaches that'll do that. We can only handle so many. I know that Rudy doesn't want any more than 3 or 4. I don't want any more than 3 and 4 or 5. So the good ones are out there, and they'll respect you for it more than you think.
Do you guys enjoy? Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Rudy. I
No,
apologize.
good. No, I'm listening. I'm listening. Go ahead.
Do you guys enjoy? Because there are some guys, and I don't think there's a right or wrong way to do it. I think different trainers have done it where they create a whole entire sort of I don't want to call it a factory because that's belittling to it, but they can have a whole process where they have an amateur program and then a pro program with 3 trainers under them, and then a lot of trainers do it like that. You two are heavily, like you said, heavily focused on just having like 3 or 4 really good fighters that you can give all your attention to. Do you enjoy being able to do that more than if you had like just a large process going on like some of the other trainers?
Okay. I've been very fortunate to have kids from day one. They're 10 years old, 12 years old kids, and and a lot of the times we start off by just trying to help those kids out, and they get into boxing and they put in the work, and you put in a lot of work, and then one day, they I believe that if I'm working with you, it's because I believe that you have the potential to be a contender, and contenders can be champions or fight for world titles. But if I don't see If I don't see that in you, then I'm not. I don't want to waste my time, and I don't want to waste your time. More my time because hey, we're limited. We're older. They're still young, but we don't have that luxury to waste time. And I would rather be at the movies or with my wife having a coffee than being at a gym with a kid that I know has no future. And I don't want to lead him to think that he's going to be okay. So I won't deal with fighters unless they're gonna. I feel like they can be contenders.
Wait, can you hear him, Rudy?
I'm sorry, you broke up. Oh, you're
Yeah,
breaking up.
for some reason I can't hear you, Abel.
Abel, you're cutting off.
Oh no, Abel, your sound's not coming through. Can you hear us?
Maybe his Wi-Fi.
Sorry,
Oh, there we go.
Okay.
that was my boss. That was my boss, so I had to answer.
Oh! Nice. Yes, sir.
So anyway, as I was saying, I'd rather just have three or four kids or five kids that whether they're young or they're older, that we can work on the things that we as coaches believe in doing. Rudy's got his own way. I have my own way. Ben's got his own way. Robert does. And if you feel like you need to have a factory, well, then that's your choice. That I think it's too much for me to. I've had 25 employees as a construction company, so I don't want that many headaches. I would rather have three or four headaches, and there's still going to be headaches, but I just rather would concentrate on three or4.
That's fair enough. That's a very blunt way to put it too. They're headaches, but they're reasonable headaches, right? I mean, it's something you enjoy doing. It's worth that, like, the
Correct.
cost of it. So we were kind of talking about this before, Abel. Is there? So there's obviously, it's no surprise to anyone. There's like a huge, for anyone who's like a more casual fan, there's a huge movement in boxing where there a lot of the big fights, almost all of them now, are going to Saudi Arabia, and also the three premier Saudi Arabian fighters are now with you. Is there added pressure working with guys who are from, you know, those are like Turkey's guys? Like, is there added pressure to training those guys, or do you go about that the same way you would?
No, there's still young men. There's still fighters that want to be better. There's still fighters that have to be taught, whether they're from Mexico or Saudi or Russia. I feel like as long as they give me what I want in the gym, as long as they give me the effort, I want to work with them. But it wouldn't matter to me where they were from. That they happen to be from there, great. And that Turkey happens to be the the guy that's moving the needle right now for our game, that's even better. I think that every 10 years or so, somebody comes into the fray that starts putting money into it and starts making it more interesting. There'll be another one 10 years from now. There was PBC back then with Al Heyman back 10, 12 years ago. So, no, I think it's a great thing. But it doesn't matter to me where they're from. I'm just going to work with them and try to make them better and try to do what I do to make them better. And if they become champions, then great. Good for Saudi Arabia, good for Abel, good for Turkey, good for everybody.
And I guess this is for both of you then. Does it help just being a boxing purist as a trainer, where it doesn't really matter who it is walking in the gym? You just love to train guys.
Go ahead, Rudy.
Yeah, we like. I like to train fighters that have the potential. And like I said, I don't want to be wasting my time nor their time. And if they have if I see that they have the certain potential, then I want to work with them. Now, as far as uh, His Majesty coming into the sport, well, why not? Great. It's it's going to benefit boxing and boxers. You know, 100%. No, because there is no such thing in boxing. It's just a big. It's a whole different world. Boxing is not. You just can't have one promoter. There's got to be many promoters, unless he's got all the money in the world that he wants to throw at from Mexico, Canada, United States, Europe, all over the place, and because boxing needs to happen every week or at least a couple of times a month worldwide. It just can't
Right.
be one. It just can't be one one promotion.
For me, if a guy walks through the door, or if I'm training a fighter, for me it's the effort. I want to be able to say I want to go to the gym because I want to work with that guy because he's going to give me that 100% effort. That means that I'm not wasting my time. That means that hopefully there'll be improvement because we're going to work on improvement. And if he's got anything, any kind of talent, I'd be the first one to say to His Excellency Turkey that no, you know what? Let's not work with this guy because he's not going to make it. I'd be the first one to say because I don't want to waste my time.
Yeah.
So if these kids are willing to put in the effort, then you're crazy not to. For me anyway, you're crazy not to want to be in the gym to want to develop them.
Now,
Yeah, one
uh,
thing is trying to develop something that you have something to work with, but
Right?
but there is exceptions, you know, like what's that guy's name? Frankie Pendleton, right? Frank Pendleton, who had a
Yeah,
record at one
Freddie,
time
Freddie,
of what, like
Freddie
Freddie.
Pendleton.
Yeah,
Yeah,
okay. He
Freddie.
had a record of what, 3 wins, 12 losses, and something like that, right?
Right,
But that guy went
right.
on to, but all his fights were against nothing but good fighters, and he
Yeah,
went on to be a world champion at one time. But that's an
right.
exception,
100
you know.
140 pounds. Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah,
and then you have
but
guys like Ola Afalabi too, who didn't have an amateur fight and became world champion.
yeah,
Right? I mean, so you just never know if they put in the effort. If they put in the effort, and you can see that, at least for me anyway, and maybe for Rudy also, and you can see that, then you want to develop it. And if you see a little talent there that you can develop, it's even better because you get the effort with a little talent. It may go a long way.
okay, Abel. So let's say Pumita Molina comes into your gym. You think that Pumita, you would have because he put in a lot of effort. Would you have trained him?
He wasn't my style.
Well, that's what I'm talking about, man. That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
A guy that
No,
just
but I mean, you have
could
to
just
see. You
take
have
it.
to see a little bit, though. You
Well, that's
you
what I'm
as
talking about.
experienced. Yeah,
Of course.
you have to see a little
Yeah.
bit. You have to see a light at the end of the tunnel, of course.
There's something there about that. There's okay, like I know exactly how you're seeing it. You see it like there's something about that kid that nobody else is seeing. And you know what? I think I can make this kid better.
Right.
And
Yeah.
and then so
And you know
and it's
what?
also a challenge.
Right, right. I know that in your case, I know in my case, we've been wrong. We've been wrong. I mean, I don't want to mention any names, but I had a kid in my gym probably 10 years ago that I swear I told him, you know what, you remind me so much of a young Terry Norris. I mean, you have the look, you have the skill, you have the speed, you have the power. And then I take him to a fight for a world title fight, and he falls apart. That's not the same kid I had in the gym. So sometimes there is such a thing as a gym fighter and a fight fighter,
Yes.
uh, and all of a sudden, this is not the same guy I had in the gym. So sometimes we're wrong, and many times I've been wrong, but that's okay. That's the fun part of this.
Yes. I mean yeah. I mean we can always look back and say, ah man, remember? Yeah,
Yeah.
boy was I wrong. Boy was I wrong.
Yeah, and then you have guys like Jaime Nava. Remember Jaime Nava?
Jaime Nava. Yeah, okay.
Remember awkward, gangly, fought from 122 and 140 to 147, fight everybody, couldn't win, but he was a heck of a fighter. Now you go back. You sometimes I know I do. Sometimes you look at fighters that have a bad record but can either crack or have decent skills, and you say, you know what? I wish I'd have got that guy when he was younger, before he had all these losses, because I know I could have done something with him. You know?
Exactly. Yeah. Orlando Salido, remember he came as a he was a pretty good fighter, and then and he got just a little bit better, and look what he did with against Lomachenko. I mean,
You
without the
know?
experience of fighting good fighters, it took him to that stage and went on to be a champion.
Yeah, with some losses. Yeah.
Yeah, you know one
Yeah.
guy that I think that I wish that I could have probably trained when he was beginning, and I think he probably would have been a world champion. Mickey Roman. He was from Juarez. I
Yes.
mean, this kid had a lot. He had the talent. We had talent, and he also had the work. Um, he put in the work. But the thing is that this guy had he with the exception of when he came when I trained him for a fight, is the very first time that he ever really ate. He ate and drank water and everything else. But I made sure that I sat there with him and watched him eat the food because
Yeah.
he didn't know how. He's from Mexico and he had no knowledge at all, nothing, zero zero in smarts as far as like feeding himself nutrition. he believed that starving was the way to making weight.
Right. Yeah. You know, on that subject, it's so sad today, so sad for me today to watch some of these kids listening to these nutritionists, and they're starving themselves, they're killing themselves, they're getting to a point where a week before the fight, they're 10, 12 pounds overweight because the nutritionist said you have to eat this. They don't understand they have a date and a weight to make, and they're killing themselves. They're not drinking any water. They're unfortunately starving themselves, like Rudy just said, and I think it's taken away from what could have been in
Yes,
their careers.
yes. I had a conversation with a nutritionist yesterday, but I told him, I said, look, man, bottom line, and to be God honest with you, man, there's nothing out there like boxing. Nothing. Zero. Not
Right,
even the jockeys at the racetracks. Yeah, they have to weigh a certain way, right? But
right,
there's a huge difference between being punched in the face while being
right,
starved.
yeah,
A
right.
huge difference, and there's nothing. Even the doctors, okay, doctors who went to school and they're legitimate doctors. They're fucking dumbasses too. They don't know. They don't know that a boxer has to make weight, and they go to the doc. Like I'll use my brother as an example. The doctors. There wasn't one doctor who didn't tell my brother that he was supposed to be like at 160, 165, 180 pounds. I go, fuck, he's 130,
That's
and
so
I'm like,
facts.
no, he's a boxer. He's a professional fighter. Well, no, he should move up.
Yeah, cra- crazy that nutritionists never come in until there's success in a fighter's life. Yet he made it there. Let's just say it's a Mexican fighter. He got there eating beans and rice and potatoes
Yeah.
and burritos and all of a sudden they come in and want to change your diet completely because they're going to make you better. How the hell does that work? They only come in at the time when there's success. They don't come in at the beginning to try to make you. They come in when the fighter's already at a level where they can gain some recognition from him.
Yeah, absolutely. But that's a definitely an exploding trend. Everybody feels they need a nutritionist. However, like you said it when I talked to Abel about this when you were on the show the first time. You know, it's pretty simple. Like it actually sounds like it can be pretty simple to lose weight the right way and to make weight effectively by just eating balanced meals and cutting out sugar and carbs.
And but to me, I'll tell you what. To me, the bottom line to losing weight, yes, all that you just said, but it's having a scale in the gym and checking your fighters' weight every day to keep them honest, keep you honest. And I require my fighters to weigh every morning before we run. And I want them to be less than they were the day before. I don't care if it's a half a pound or a third of a pound, just less than the day before. That means if they lost a half a pound in a month, that's 15 pounds. I have three kids or actually two kids that are fighting on the 22nd right now. One's fighting at 132 and one's fighting at 130. Right now, they're both, yes, this morning weighed 134.
Wow.
Hey Abel, how about the times where like they come the next day and they're a pound over after the workout?
Yeah, well, then they
You know
get
it
punished.
happened.
Yeah, then they get punished. Yeah, but doesn't happen very often, not too often. But they need to understand that this is their job. They have a date that they're going to do. There's a story. You can ask Ben about this, Rudy. There was a story. We used to have a guy in the gym when I first started with Ben. His name is Sammy Flores. And Ben would send me to check his weight, and Sam was a 35 pounder, and say Sam weighed 137 or 38. Hey, coach, can you please tell Coach Ben that I weighed 141? He'd always tell me heavier.
Oh,
Why? Because he could
yeah.
go home and cheat.
Oh, so he can eat a little bit more and get up to that weight and then work his way down from there.
Oh, lucky guy.
Did Abel just vanish?
Abel had to go and make a phone call.
Oh, that's fine. Yeah, he froze and then he was gone. I was like, oh,
Now
he
he's back.
teleported.
I'm back.
He's a
Oh,
wizard.
she's outside my gym. I'm gonna have to cut this short because I have to go vote, man.
Oh, all right, get out there, get the vote. What do we
Yeah,
got?
Rudy, I'll see you. I think Ben's calling you. We're gonna get together Friday, maybe,
Not Thursday.
or
Oh,
no, Thursday. I got sparring up here. Man.
how about tomorrow?
I asked him for tomorrow, and he said no. But tomorrow's fine with me if you want to do it tomorrow.
We'll do tomorrow. We'll
Okay,
we'll, we'll call them up and tell them what time
okay.
tomorrow.
Tomorrow at say 9 o'clock.
We're at. You
Down
pick.
there at yeah, Tito's. I gotta get something from Ben anyway.
Okay, we'll do it. We'll go. Oh yeah, yeah. I'll see you guys there because I have to deliver. Um, I'll see you guys tomorrow at 9 at Chilitos.
All right,
Okay,
I'll
call
get a
Ben.
flight
Call Ben
tonight.
to make sure. Call Ben to make sure it's okay.
No, we're gonna tell them. We're not gonna ask them. We're gonna tell them. And I'll see you there
No,
at 9 o'clock.
you got it. Okay.
All right, I'll book a
Have a
red eye
great night.
tonight. I'll see you guys
Have a great
tomorrow.
night.
Okay.
All right. Good night,
Okay.
Thanks,
Bye
guys.
bye. Bye.
Yeah.
Actually, you still got time, Rudy? We can go a little bit
Of
longer.
course. Of
Let's
course.
do
I
it.
have time.
Okay, so I've been watching. I'm gonna feel really dumb because I keep wanting to pronounce his name Junto. It's Junto, right?
Junto. Junto. Uh huh.
Junto. I want to say Junto so badly. The J, I feel like
Junto.
it would be
Uh,
silent, but John Nakatani. So I've watched. I now had a chance to really watch his fights, a lot of his fights, and yeah.
a call came in, so yeah. Okay, so start all over again, please.
Oh, good. No, so I just last night I took a lot. Well, over the last few nights, I watched a lot of his fights, and I really was just seeing like what does he do well, how does he differentiate himself, like what are his strong points, what are his weaknesses, and what I noticed he does really well is he reminds me of like a baseball pitcher who you can't figure out. It's every exchange and then every round is like a different inning and a different pitch in baseball. You think he's coming with the fastball, and then all of a sudden it's the curveball. You're like, okay, the curveball's coming, and then he'll give you a changeup. He's so unpredictable, and he's able to do everything. Is that a good assessment, or do you feel like I'm missing part of it there?
You ain't wrong. You pretty much described everything about him.
Yeah, I don't know if it all seems intentional because he'll come out in the first round, guns ablazing, just fastball, fastball, fastball. I love that he doubles up. He's a southpaw, and he'll go to his left on the inside, and he'll double up on the right uppercut.
And sometimes triple, and sometimes triple.
I love I don't know why more fighters. I loved when like Lomachenko, if he threw the left and he landed it, the last thing the guy's expecting then is for you to throw the left again. If you land that punch, the guy's usually expecting the next hand to come. If you just keep going with it, I
Yes.
like seeing that, and he breaks guys down. But I just noticed round to round, guys can't adjust to him. It's hard to get. He doesn't let you get a rhythm in fighting him.
Well, that's what we work on. That's why he has options. He has 5 options as a fighter. He can fight you in different ways. He's going to change it up. He'll come in this way. He'll finish this way. He'll do this. He'll do that. And the thing is that he's that we train not to be read. And just when you
Yeah.
think we're going to do this, by the time you're trying to make that adjustment, we're going to switch it on you.
And what I love that you see him and you do is that he's not a dance partner. If you want a rhythm and you want a pattern, or when I clinch, you clinch, he's not going to do it. If he clinches and then you go along for the ride, he'll toss you. He'll rough you up. Like he's not. He just won't allow you to get into a rhythm with him, to like be a dance partner.
That's what. Well, again, that's what makes him a special fighter. He's different than he's the like I said, he's the best fighter I've ever trained. My brother, on the other hand, had all the talent, but he didn't have the he was comfortable doing everything that he did. And
Yeah.
that's the difference between my brother and Junto. And that's why I consider Junto to be the best fighter I've ever trained.
Now, obviously, there are a lot of decision makers involved in this, and he has a fight coming up on December 27th, right?
Yes.
Is the biggest fight for him gonna be an all Japan fight with Neo Inoue?
That's what we're looking forward to, but if we can
we can't go past December the 27th. We still have a fight ahead of us, and we can't be looking too far ahead. We got to worry about the guy that we're fighting first, and we'll take care of business first, and then maybe there's a possibility that we could be fighting against Inoue next. But that's not 100% done.
Yeah, I mean nothing. I mean, we were just talking about Caleb Plant earlier. Like, nothing's guaranteed in boxing. It can be, you know, it can go any way. To look past anybody would be crazy. We were talking about Caleb Plant, and we saw in his last fight. You know, everybody was talking about the next fight after that, and it's like totally undermined the task that was ahead of them.
Yeah, yeah. I can't be looking ahead. Focus on what's important, what we have in hand, or So yeah, we have it's important, and also not just to win, but hopefully leave a good impact.
You mean knocking them out like in a certain amount of rounds?
Just look 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 the fighter that you're considering now worldwide to be one of the top 10 fighters in the world, and that brings a big responsibility, and that means every time that you fight, you got to you got to put up on a show. Do your job, which he has all the time.
Absolutely. I think he's exciting. I think specifically, you know, when you look at fights in Japan, you look at Japanese fighters tend to be, how do I say this? They tend to be really straight up and down, you know? They tend to be really almost too polished, I feel like, maybe. And the audience is the same, you know? It's crazy watching boxing, and when someone lands a shot, you hear the applaud, you know, versus like a
Uh-huh.
roaring crowd. I
Right.
feel I feel like he's different though. I feel like he really gets into the excitement of it. He's really like he's a bit of a showman. You know, he's not so rigid. Does that make sense?
Yes, but also he's a he's a guy that dares to be great, and that's why he's in the position that he's in, because he puts in the work, and he has the ring smarts, and he has the discipline. There, he's almost as as perfect as you can get. I kind of think that's kind of like him. He always comes to the gym ready to work, ready to be better, and that's why he's been as successful as he is. That's what I think.
I'm gonna pivot, and Abel got off the hook for this one, but I remember last week we were talking about fights. What I asked you guys kind of on the spot. I go, what are fights that you guys get excited for? Who are fighters that you get excited for that are fighting today? And the pause was like huge. You guys, you guys both were really quiet. Are there any fighter? I mean, obviously outside of your own stable, are there any fighters who, when you see them coming up on the schedule, you get excited to see, like today?
Unfortunately, we're living in an era right now. Like, I mean, when was the last time you saw a boxing match? Who fought who, and where are these guys at now? I mean, like, they just seem to be lost. Little by little, we're all disappearing, and then unfortunately, there's no boxing like it used to be. We don't have them every week or every other week. And like name like the top 10, like the top five pound for pound fighters in the world. Um, some of them that are in the top haven't fought in over a year and a half, maybe 2 years. And so I can't remember when was the last time I even I've asked a couple of times, hey, are they still fighting or they retired? Because I don't know.
Well, that's a good point too, and I think it's what's exciting is when you have a weight division where everybody is fighting everybody. If you lost a fight, you know, you go down a little bit. You fight a If you're fighting for the championship and you lose, you come back and you fight like a contender, someone around that level, and you work your way back up. And there's sort of a mix of guys. I feel like that's how it was in the '80s, you know, and you continually would try to work your way up. Now it's very pick and choose. It's very much about like, hey, what two guys fighting each other will bring the most amount of money? Who's happy to do it? You know, it's not. If you become a top dog and you start drawing, it doesn't seem like there's like a pyramid for guys to fight up anymore. It just seems like there's one guy picking who he likes to fight, and everyone else is kind of doing the same, but just on the next tier, you know?
Okay, I think right now that one of the few fighters that can do that would be Canelo Alvarez, because he rakes in the media, the people and the fans. The fans come to watch him fight, and I think that he put in the work, he put in the time, and today he can be a shot caller, uh, and we tune in to watch when he fights, and but who's the next guy? I mean, you're the one that writes about boxing. Now you tell me, who's the next up and coming fighter that you looking forward to see? Because I mean, he's been on TV, he's been on fighting, and he's consistent. And yeah, I can't wait for him to fight. But I can't remember watching anybody on TV lately.
Well, you named somebody who you said you liked a lot. I also thought everybody thought was great. We thought he was great for about 7 years now. It was Boots Ennis. Everybody was really I mean, when he was younger and coming up, everybody talked about, oh, just wait until this guy, gets into the title picture. But it just took forever. It was like, and I'm not blaming him. I don't think it's his fault. I think there's a lot of different factors at play.
Yes.
It's just like it's a bummer when you have a fighter who everyone says this guy's really exciting, he's going to be great, and then it's like you're waiting for him to. It's like, okay, I think it's time now. Like, have him fight everybody. He's a welterweight. Who are the top 5 welterweights? He should be fighting any one of them, and then fight the next one. Like, there shouldn't be any reason to wait. You know.
Uh-huh. Well, like I said, we're in a oh shit. Sorry.
You all good?
Okay, I made a boo boo.
Can you hit? Is there the camera button? You can hit it. Turn it back on.
Camera.
Okay. Hmm. If you leave it and then click that link again, you should be able to jump right back in. Yep. Let me think. Is there? Yeah, why not? Let's do it. I mean, I'm having fun. So, well, I guess you know so much more than I do about this. You've been around this for so much longer. What were they doing right in the '80s that we're not doing now? That's hurting boxing. But there are fights happening. I mean, technically, there are a lot of fights happening every weekend. They're not televised, but there are fights every weekend. So, do you feel like if the guys who are, the top 10 pound for pound fighters, top 20, like, or a really good weight class, let's say, like, for a little bit of time, the lightweight division was exciting. We wanted to see who could beat who between, you had Haney, Lomachenko, Garcia, Tank Davis was around there, like all these guys, and we just wanted to see them all fight and see like who's the best. Have them all fight each other and see who the best is. In a weight class like that, do you think that those guys needed to be fighting like 4 times a year to really build that up and make something out of it to gain like more public attention? Do you think this is another thing though that I'm kind of thinking about as you say that times have changed a lot because back in the '60s and '70s you only had so many channels you could watch, and if boxing was one of them, it was boxing or whatever the other four channels are, I think. So, and if you're local, like if you live in California and you're getting those fights at the Forum, you're getting great fighters and great fights. Like they're just phenomenal. But like maybe it might be a little bit different now because everything is it's just so different. Everything's online. Everything's very much like I mean, you can watch literally a million different videos if you want right now on YouTube or through streaming services. Like, there's just so much competition. Could it just be that like there's just not enough airwaves for boxing to get people's attention? Yeah. That uh, and then I think about that too. When you say like the promoters used to promote, how was it different? Like, how do you feel they were doing it differently then? Like, how is Top Rank doing it differently than they've been? And now it's a totally different beast. They're kind of like a dog without a home now. But like they had ESPN for a while, and they had plenty of things before that. Hey, welcome back. Why?
I'm sorry, I lost you there for a second.
No, it's all good.
No, it's
So
all
what I
good.
was
So
going to
what I was
say
going to
is,
say is,
oh wait, I'm getting
oh wait, I'm
feedback.
getting
Do you hear
feedback.
that?
Do you hear that?
No, I didn't hear it.
I can hear it.
I can
Whatever I
hear it.
say, I can hear
Whatever I
it
say, I
feeding
can hear
back
it
through the
feeding back
headphones.
through the headphones.
Oh,
So I'm gonna
So now, let me try this.
No,
No,
what do you when you say that
when
they
you say that they
promoted back
promoted
then?
back then?
What do you mean
What
by
do you
like
mean by like
promoting? Like, what does that
promoting? Like, what does
entail?
that entail?
well, we had shows every other week. Like I'll use the Forum as an example, or the Olympic Auditorium. At the Olympic Auditorium, we had fights every Thursday at the Olympic Auditorium, and we got to see some really great fighters who had to fight to keep that undefeated record because it was, sometimes they got beat, you know, while getting experience so they can fight. And um and you know and and um Eileen Eaton, I don't know if you remember who she was.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She put on they and then Don Chargan was the matchmaker who, you know and we had great fights, man, and we all tuned in, and we went to the Olympic Auditorium and watched the fights, because it wasn't boring. And when you went to the Forum or even the sports arena, we had events, and so we had fights, and so it was consistent. But in today's world, we don't have that anymore. It's changed.
So you're talking about
So you're
literally
talking about
having
literally
fights
having
like on a
fights like on
weekly
a
basis
weekly
by the
basis
same
by the
promoter
same promoter
with the same
with
lineup
the
of
same lineup
fighters.
of fighters.
Yes, but that means everybody. That means in Las Vegas, in Philadelphia, in New York, all these places, man. We had fights and we had events. and people tuned in. People people went to watch these guys fight because they they brought they came to, like I said, they came to fight. And at the end of the day, who doesn't want to watch a fight? Who doesn't want to be there?
I think when
I
people go
think
to
when
a
people
fight
go
live
to a
too,
fight
it's a
live too,
totally
it's a
different
totally different
experience
experience than
than
watching it on TV.
Yes, completely different. And again, but I believe that it's a lot of it has to do with the. It started it started with managers trying to protect fighters from their records and try to keep them undefeated, and then I don't know who came up with that undefeated thing meant everything. I think that who have you fought? I okay, like, do you want to go see a fight? A guy that has a record of 10 wins, 10 knockouts, no losses. Fight a guy who has a record of 3 wins, 7 losses, 6 losses by knockout. I mean, is that a fight? Are you okay with that?
I never
I
understood
never
that. I've
understood
seen
that.
guys
I've
who
seen
can
guys
build
who
their
can
record to
build their
like
record to
21
like
and 0,
21 and 0,
and it's
and
against
it's against
nobody.
nobody.
Yes. Look,
Where do you go from
Where do
there
you
when
go
you're
from
when you're
there when
21
you're
and
when you're
0?
21 and 0?
How do you even
How do you
make a
even
career?
make a career?
one of the things that I've always said that, and if you look back, you'll see back in the history of boxing that El Cuyo Hernandez from Mexico had a few fighters that came out from the 1976 Olympics, and he turned them pro a year exactly, like, almost like a year after the Olympics. He turned them pros, but they pro debuted at 10 rounds. Pro debut at 10 rounds. And you know what? What a great thing to do, because no different than Lomachenko. Lomachenko, in his third professional fight, he fought for a world title because he was a 2-time Olympian, gold medalist. I mean, like, why would you put him in against guys with a record of 6 wins, 12 losses, 11 of those by knockout? I mean, like, that's just a sacrificed lamb. But I thought it was great what they did. Yes, he dared to be great, and he had such in less than 15 fights. This guy's already been a world champion, made history, and I don't know if he's still fighting or not, but more power to him.
Are you saying that
Are
you
you
think the
saying that
path
you think the
forward for
path
a lot of
forward
these
for a
guys
lot of
should
these
be
guys should be
go right to
go
that
right
sort
to
of
that
fighting
sort of
right under the
fighting right
contender
under the
level?
contender level?
If you go to the Olympics or you're close to it, then you should be fighting top. You shouldn't be pro debuting at 4 rounds. I think maybe 6 rounds, 2 fights at 6 rounds, and then you move off to 8 and 10. Or if you're like 22, 23 years old, I'd put you in at 10 rounds because you're older. You're a grown ass man already. You're not a kid. And if you can't fight 10 rounds at the age of 22, 23, then maybe boxing isn't for you.
I totally
I
agree.
totally agree.
I think
I
when you
think
see a
when you see a guy
23, I
23,
feel like that's
I
when
feel
you
like
should
that's
be
when you should
taking
be
the tough
taking the
fights.
tough fights.
At 23,
If you're a top
If
level
you're a
guy.
top level guy.
I look at it this way, and that's what I told my boys. I tell my guys that I'll protect you. Try to get you that experience from the age from 18 to 22, because you're maturing and you're building as a man. Once you're at 22 years of age, okay, now you're a solid mentally and physically. You're now a man. Now you're a freaking man. From 18, 19, 20, you're still growing. But at the age of 22, come on, you're a grown ass man now. Now you're gonna. I
Hell
don't care
yes.
Hell
who
yeah.
you bring. My guy that'll be his third professional fight, and the guy has 60 fights. I don't care if he has 60 fights. I'll fight him. Because if my guy can't beat guys like him, then how do I expect him to be a contender?
What do you think
What do
is
you
too
think is
much?
too much?
Like too much
Like
too
too much
fast.
too
If you
fast.
take an
If you take an
Olympian,
Olympian,
like a silver
like a
medalist,
silver
and he
medalist, and
turns
he
pro,
turns pro,
how soon should
how
he
soon
be
should
fighting
he
for
be fighting for
a belt?
a belt?
How old is he?
Turns pro at
Turns
23.
pro at 23.
I fucking put him at 10 rounds at 23. I pro debuted him at 23. You can't be going to the Olympics and be a silver medalist and not be almost you by in that version of a silver medalist is kind of a top 15 contender in the world. And that's where you should be, fighting guys that are up there, because you should be fighting for world title within 5 to 6 fights. Why
I
waste
think
time?
that
I
might
think
be.
that might be.
I think that might
I
be
think
what
that might be
what you're really
what you're
saying
really
is
saying is
there's no need to waste time. Just dive in.
Just dive in.
Yeah, we're not here to accommodate you. And like I said, we talked about how some trainers and fighters can get along and they cannot. You know, I think at the end of the day, it's as a head coach, because we're the trainers. I mean, like the head trainer there, we have to sometimes we have to push them. We gotta every once in a while they may trip, but but they gotta get up on their own, and then they gotta get up and do what they were born to do. Get back up, like you fall off a bike, get up, get back on it, and let's go. Because tomorrow is not promised, and I personally can tell you that I'm, I'm not just talking about it, I'm being about it. Tony La Princesa Olascuaga only had 5 professional fights, but he beat the number one guy in the United States of America. And we didn't go to the Olympics. We said, "Now the hell with it." We left. My boy had a migraine headache, so we came home. And when we came home, I called Mr. Honda in Japan, and I told him that we have a contender in our hands. I told Mr. Honda that I really truly believe that Tony can be a champion of the world within 8 fights. And look, he fought on number 6. He fought for a world title. He didn't win, but he put on a good show, and he put a great effort into it, and he got rewarded. And today, he's had 3 world title fights. He's a world champion with 3 world title fights under his belt. And what's his record? 7, 8, and 1. You know,
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
He's a huge outlier. He's a great
He's a
example
great example of what you're talking about.
I've been saying it. I mean, I'd be a big old hypocrite if I said all these things and I'm not following in my own shoe steps.
Does it have a lot
Does
to
it
do
have a
with how
lot to
you
do with
handle
how you
those
handle those losses, though,
when they do come?
when they do come?
Well, of course. It was he got beat by a better fighter, and the thing is that there's no excuses. I don't believe in the excuses. I think that and this is something that I tell the fighters all the time. The moment you step in that ring, you stepped in there. You walked up those steps and you went inside that ring, and you answered the bell. No more excuses. Whether you did or you didn't, shut the and move on. Take it. If you win, you win. If you lose, you lose. And it won't no excuses, because that's not fair, because you don't diminish the other guy's victory. No, he won. He kicked your ass on. He's just better than you. That's it. I can live with losing to a better guy. The guy's just better than us. I can live with that. But what I can't live with is losing to a guy that you should have beat, and you didn't win because you dropped the ball. You didn't do what you were supposed to do.
So
You
as long
felt
as
So
they're
as long
doing
as
it,
they're doing it,
yes.
sorry, as long
so
as they're doing that work,
work,
then you can
then you
rest your
can
head on that.
rest your head on that and say we did all we could.
There's
There's no excuses on it because everything was done beforehand.
Yes. I mean, like I said, when you walk into that ring, and you answer the bell, that's it. No excuses. None. I don't care what happened. No excuses. You answered the bell. You got paid. You cashed that check. Now shut the fuck up.
I love it. Rudy, thank you so much, man. I appreciate you every single time.
Thanks for always making this happen for me.
My pleasure, and thank you for having me on your podcast.
We're gonna do it again, right? We're gonna have an episode 3.
Episode 3.
Of course, why not? Junta's coming.
Love it.
Love it.
You said come on the
You said go on
podcast?
the podcast?
No, I say Junta's coming next week. So, well, I don't know if you want to put him on the podcast. I can ask him.
Why not? Yeah,
Why
that'd be
not?
super
Yeah,
cool.
that'd be super cool.
I'll ask him. Well, send me a message on Monday, like text me, and then I'll ask him.
You're the man,
You're
Rudy.
the
Thank
man,
you
Rudy.
for
Thank you
everything.
for
You're the
everything.
man.
You're the man.
Anytime, man. Again, I'm only a phone call away.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Have a good one.
You too.
You too.
Bye bye.